Oh, there we go. Good morning.
What's up? Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning.
Ace wants me to come play with him. I can't, buddy. I'm doing some work real quick. Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Saturday morning. Welcome to the Saturday morning real estate Q&A with the Perna team. Let me introduce everybody very quickly. My name is Pothast. I'm the director of sales with the team, and I don't know. I'm 17 years in the business at this point, and 8,000 transactions under my belt. And Mike Perna is our CEO. Looking dapper in the gray. What's up, my friend? It looks like you're in the Royal Oak office. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good. Mike Perna is it 20 years now? Is it officially 20 or is it 21?
20 years and 26 days to be exact.
20 years, 26 days in the real estate game. And Mike is our fearless leader and CEO. And so I appreciate you taking the time to talk to the folks here. And then Andrew Venettis is joining with us. Andrew Venettis, with the slick, did you fall off the boat, Marty McFly? Can I get a Pepsi free? Can I make some more Baker future episodes? You look good, man. Andrew Venettis is a lender partner with Silverline Lending with us. And man, Andrew, you do a fantastic job for your clients. And how long have you been in real estate now?
I've been in mortgages for 10 years.
Okay. Been in the mortgage game for 10 years.
10 years.
Love it.
Gosh, 10 years. He doesn't look a day over 25. Look at him.
Yeah, right.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Is that Botox? How do you do that? No, you just
oh man, it's just I don't know.
All natural. Some people have it, Mike. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I'm not one of those people.
So if this is your first time joining us, by the way, we've done this every single week, really since the lockdown and the pandemic. And what we found is that our clients just had a lot of questions about what was going on in the real estate business. And so what we found is that it made a lot of sense for us to do a Q&A. And so if this is your first time, I welcome you, and we're super appreciative of you being here. And so here's the format. You can ask questions. You just put them in the chat. You can put them on Facebook there, and we will answer them. So anything that's on your mind, real estate related, whether it's buying or selling, whether it's legal questions, whether it's investing questions, whether it's mortgage questions, anything that's on your mind, please ask, and we'll make sure that we cover those topics. And look, we aim to keep it fluid, so keep those questions rolling. So,
and it doesn't even be related. It could be 90s movies, 90s music, anything.
I like it. Oh shoot, I gotta do this. Hold on. So what's on our mind this week, Mike?
Yeah. Well, actually, a couple of things. I was on. I was blessed to be a guest on WJR yesterday with Guy Gordon. One of the things that he's saying, and as a radio personality, he gets a lot of call-ins, especially WJR, about like financial matters and things like that. They're seeing a lot. They're getting a lot of call-ins about homes that have gone on the market but failed on the lending side. So I wanted to be sure that we had Andrew on today to kind of talk over just a couple of different types of lendings, what's going on with appraisals, what's going on with appraisal waivers, timing around a move. And then Austin, you can talk about this as well, the importance of who you pick as a lender, how it could affect even getting your offer accepted, just being honest.
Yeah. I know one of the challenges that you talked to on the radio show. By the way, Guy, we're the official real estate company of WJR and of Guy Gordon. Yep. Correct? Do I have that right?
Absolutely.
I think that's pretty awesome. So kudos to you, Mike, on that. I know one of the things that is oftentimes coming up.
I think Austin froze on us.
He did. He lagged out.
I want to know one of the things that are coming up. He'll come back. I hope he comes back. Well, until he gets back, we're just gonna look at his lovely frozen face. Andrew, oh, there he is. Right. Coming in on a different stream now. Watch this.
Boom. So what do you got to do? You got to get rid of the other screen?
I was just going to leave it.
Who's the ghost of Austin? Okay, so one of the things that we've been talking about, or that we've been hearing from people, is like, hey, look, with inventory being so low, it's hard to get it's hard to find a house. Matter of fact, that's the biggest thing from our sellers that they're coming out with is like, hey, look, I would sell my house, but where would I go? Right, is what we're hearing from people. And we're really proud of these stats. You want to share them a little bit? You got those stats in front of you, Mike?
You know what? Actually, I'm going to share them. And Guy Gordon asked me about that yesterday, so I actually pulled them up. So month to date, first, so you got two things going on. One, it's really hard to find a property, and then second, I mean, not just get a property, but just find one. And then the second one is getting the property versus the other buyers out there, right? So to date this month, we're at 43 buyers that we have accepted offers for. So, and frankly, all of them were multiple offer, with the exception of one. So 42 times our agents, and I'm just going to say it, our agents crushed the other agents in the market, crushed their offers, and got the job done for our buyers. And what that looks like for our sellers is when you're going to sell a home, a lot of sellers are bringing up the kind of the fear of, where am I going to go next? Can I even get a home? A lot of these homes are getting a half a dozen, up to 2 dozen offers. That's okay. We've never left a family homeless, and it's not going to happen. We will win. And that doesn't always mean, guys, paying the highest price. It means finding out what other than price is important to the sellers, because that's another cool thing about it is the majority of the offers that we're getting accepted, they're not necessarily the highest price. They're just the best suited for that seller to achieve their goal with their move. And what I mean by that is, like, as an example, we had one the other day where a seller accepted our offer at $250 versus another offer at $258. They left $8,000 on the table because then they wouldn't have to do a double move. The offer that was $8,000 higher would have forced the sellers to move twice. Frankly, just using up a bunch of that $8,000 anyway, plus the aggravation factor of moving into an extended stay where you got a husband and a wife and they're working at home, and then you got some school at home at the time still. So you got 4 people working in one room, and that doesn't work.
Yeah. I think it's a big deal. Yeah, price is one of the terms, but it's not the only term. And I think I'm really glad that you said families, because at first we were saying buyers, but the truth is that means that we found 44 families homes this month, which is what are we up year over year, by the way?
We're up a little bit over 50% year over year in real estate sales, and the market is down around 5% as far as number of sales goes.
Yeah. Hey, Andrew, talk a little bit about, because I know we tap you on the shoulder a bunch on stuff like this and winning offers. Can you talk a little bit on the mortgage side, what it takes to win an offer and some of it? Because look, one of the things that you guys do incredibly well, and what you do well personally, Andrew, is like, we call it the inches. It's like the Al Pacino speech. It's like the little things, like the inches are all around you. And you guys do the inches really well to make sure that you're supporting us and supporting our families and clients. Tell me a little bit how you're involved in getting those offers won.
Not to detract, but check this out, guys. So that's a thing. Awesome. And happy birthday. You betcha. Okay.
Thanks for recognizing that, Austin. Yeah, the inches are important. And I guess I'll start with, like, the earlier that you as the borrower can start your process of being pre-approved, the better off you're going to be. Because not all pre-approvals are alike, not situations are the same. So the earlier you can start, meaning like when you are ready to start looking at homes is when you need to get pre-approved, not when you're ready to make an offer on a home. Because one of the biggest mistakes that I see is it's a Saturday or Sunday night and somebody is calling me because they want to place an offer on a specific property, but they don't have the pre-approval yet. And it might not happen that night or that week. There might be more documentation needed. We have that stuff prepared. So when we make that call to the listing agent, when that offer goes in, we're extremely confident that if this thing is already through underwriting, all we really need to do is get this offer put in, get it accepted, and get the appraisal and title work ordered. That's really where we want to leave it. So that's one of the best things that you can do as a borrower is like have a conversation with your lender as early as possible to make sure you're prepared for that price range, that down payment amount, that appraisal guarantee. You're prepared to make that monthly payment, so you're confident going into those offers, and then we're confident making those calls to listing agents, letting them know that you're ready to go.
Dude, I'm really glad you said that. And in the scenario the other way is like so yes, there's a lot of A there, but think about it the other way. So if you don't do it the right way, and if you don't have the right kind of lender looking at everything and making sure, like actually looking at your tax returns, actually looking at your bank statements up front, actually looking at your pay stubs up front, here's what happens. We go out and show you houses, right? Our sales staff or one of us goes to show you houses. And home buying is an emotional experience. Like you walk into a home and you either like fall in love with the home or you don't. You know what I mean? It's like emotional. It's not, it's not buying a black Jeep Grand Cherokee and they all look the same. It's like emotional, right?
For sure, yeah.
And so here's what happens is you get yourself like emotionally invested in a home only to find out that somebody didn't do the legwork up front and you actually can't get approved for a mortgage, and people get crushed by that. And it's just
exactly. I get a handful of calls every month from clients who are in tears because they thought they had a legitimate pre-approval from some lender that they spoke to, or maybe didn't even speak to on the phone, to be honest. Sometimes they just went online, typed in information, were able to generate their own pre-approval or pre-qual. They go in to make the offer, and then 2 weeks outside of closing, they get told that they qualify, and they're calling me in tears, and they're saying, "Oh my God, what do I do?" And I say, I'll be honest with you, like we would have done this pre-approval completely differently up front had we had a conversation first. And that's why it's so important. Listen, there are a lot of people out there that probably know they're very well qualified and they can do whatever they want as far as financing. Maybe they have an option to purchase cash, down 20, 30, 40% on a mortgage. That's fine. But there's also a majority of borrowers right now who have never done this before and are getting advice from their Uncle Jim, who bought a house 25 years ago. They need to have a conversation with us. They need to talk to a lender prior to going out there and looking at properties, so they have that pre-approval letter in hand prior to going to look at homes. Because like you said, Austin, it's so emotional. They might be saying to themselves, we're not going to move until school starts in August. And all of a sudden, they're visiting a home, an awesome realtor, and they go, wow, we really want to make an offer. But they don't have that pre-approval in hand. They don't know what their payments are going to look like. They don't know what they're going to have prepared for money in the bank yet. Having that conversation is so crucial. And the nice thing is it doesn't take long. 10, 20 minutes on the phone goes a really long way. I promise you.
Are you telling people not to listen to Uncle Jim?
Listen, I'm not saying don't listen to Uncle Jim. He's probably a really nice guy. But just because somebody purchased a home in 2002 doesn't mean it's the same situation this time around. And things have changed a lot. So just having a conversation with a professional is a big deal.
Yeah. I would have said Uncle Bob, Mike. Everybody's got an Uncle Bob.
I've got an Uncle Bob.
Everybody's got an Uncle Bob. That's how it works.
And I'm going to add a little bit to that. When you're thinking about purchasing a home, look at it from the other perspective, right? Yeah. Most sellers right now understand the importance of an experienced and seasoned agent to navigate the terms of appraisals and occupancy and all of those different things. Because right now, to be real, 1 in 5 offers that are accepted on properties are falling apart. So sellers, even in this hot market, can anybody throw a home on the MLS and get a contract? Sure. But can they get a contract 20, 30, 40, 50,000 higher with the right team, with the right agent? Yes. And what that usually means is that's an experienced person who understands the difference between a pre-qualification, a pre-approval, and frankly understands the difference between a lender that is proactively reaching out to that listing agent and saying, hey, I want to walk through this pre-approval, what I have and then what I need, versus like myself as a listing agent. If I'm going and beating down somebody's door, if I got to call a lender 3 times, I'm telling my sellers, don't take that offer. Just don't take that offer. Simple enough.
It's the worst.
It's the worst because I know
you get a hold of a lender. Oh.
Yeah, the whole way through. The service level will be abysmal. It's going to stress my sellers out, right? And I've got 3 other offers that are just as good, if not better. Anyway, I've got a great question from Amy. I'm going to throw up here, Andrew, for you. There we go.
By the way, can we first talk about Amy's picture and how adorable this is with
it's super adorable.
Grandma, and it's like a reindeer thing. Hi, Amy. Good morning.
Amy.
All right. So good morning. Just curious, what does it usually take to get a pre-approval? Like what criteria do you look for? That's a great question.
Yeah, really good question.
Go for it.
Okay. So I'll give you the easy answer first, then I'll break it down. So there's 3 things we look for. It's your income. So, your employment or self-employment income, your assets. So it's money that you have available liquid for down payment and closing costs. And then of course your credit. So not only your score, but your debts as well that come off of your credit report. So what we look for as a lender are three things. We're gonna most likely have a conversation first about what you're looking for as far as location and price range of a home. So I always like to start the conversation of, hey, Mike, where are you looking to purchase? And just so I have an idea of what you're looking for, what price range are you looking at? The second thing we're going to do is we're going to pull your credit. And as long as that credit score is a qualifying score, we'll proceed that conversation a little bit further and we'll talk about your income. So I'll ask you for some pay stubs, some W-2s, if you're self-employed, a couple years of tax returns. And then of course your assets. So money in the bank that you have available for down payment and closing costs. Maybe you have a 401k or an investment account that you're willing to liquidate. Maybe you're getting a gift from friends or family, whatever that might be. We'll have a conversation about that. And then the next step is you actually sending over those pay stubs, W-2s, bank statements, gift letters, all of those supporting documents so we can make sure we have everything ready to go and run it through underwriting. So income, assets, credit are the three things we look for. And qualification range wise, like pretty simple. We want to make sure your debt to income ratio, which is a combination of what your gross monthly income is compared to your gross monthly debts on your credit report, plus a projected housing payment, is at or under about 50%. We want to make sure you have a credit score that's at or above 600. And we want to make sure that you have enough money to cover down payment, which is minimum for first-time buyers, generally 3 to 3.5%, plus another 3 to 3.5% for closing costs.
Easy enough, guys. So if you're considering looking for a home anytime in the next 6 months, it would definitely behoove you to start pulling some of that stuff together. When you get some time, grab those last 2 years of tax returns. And like for me, what I did was I just started taking the documentation, throwing it in my top right drawer because I'm going to be looking for a home pretty shortly here. So when I have it, Austin, I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it.
No, we do the same thing. It's all like in a Ziploc bag in like one of our.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I put it right there. So all I gotta do is I like when I call Andrew, I'm like, all right, man, I need pre-approval, and then all I'm gonna do is take it, put it on my scanner, right, and then away it goes. And frankly, I won't even do that. When I say on my scanner, I mean the scanner on my phone.
Yeah.
Okay,
so be early, Andrew. What other ways?
It's not bad. Amy, it's not bad at all.
It's not bad at all. Yeah. As a matter of fact, talk to Andrew. Andrew, throw your number out there. You should call Andrew. He's amazing. The other thing I would say, Andrew, so be early. How else are you helping us win offers right now?
So calling, right? Being available. I think it was Michael that said, if I have to call a lender 3 times that offer's done, right? I'm gonna advise my sellers not to take that offer. Like I know, like this is a relationship business, and I realize this is a business with timestamps on it. So I'm well aware of when a client has an offer going in. I know that client has an offer going in every single time. I'm aware because I tell the clients and I tell our realtor partners, call me before that offer or when that offer is going in. So I get a text or a phone call that say, hey, Andrew, we just placed an offer on 123 Main Street in Royal Oak. Here's the price. Here's the listing agent's contact info, right? That's number one. Number two is I'm reaching out to that listing agent with a phone call, a text message, an email if I have the email address, and I'm touching base to let that listing agent know just how well qualified that borrower is, right? Or if there are potential issues or things that can come up in process, I'm upfront with that as well. That's a rare thing, but you want to be completely transparent. But the other part is when I get a phone call, I'm either picking up that call or I'm calling right back within a few minutes. And listing agents love that because, like Mike said, a lot of lenders just don't pick up. They don't work on Saturdays or Sundays, right? They'll get back to it on Monday after lunch. I'm picking up that call, having that conversation, and I think that's a wow factor for a lot of realtors. Is they're like, oh my god, like you just picked up the phone on an 8 o'clock on Sunday. That's crazy. Like, yes, I want to do business with you. That makes them feel a lot better, right? So the other part is just having a great conversation with the listing agent. That's it. Very simple.
Yeah.
And also just advising too, like advising, the agents or even the borrowers on like how much higher they can go on an appraisal guarantee, or can they work with less down payment to put more money towards closing costs, or if they have to go higher on the price. whatever it might be, just being a resource for everybody as well.
Yeah, it's
We have access to the client and all their information that they need to get to the closing table, right? So being a great resource for them, as opposed to having the client try to figure it out on their own, is so much easier.
Yeah, it's big. Hey, good morning, everybody. If you're first joining us, welcome to the real estate webinar. We do this in Q&A. We do this every Saturday at 10 o'clock, 10 to 11, and we stay here and answer all your questions. The Perna team here, I'm Austin Pothast, I'm the Director of Sales. Mike Perna is our CEO, and Andrew Venettis is our special guest this morning, and he's with a lender partner of ours, Silverline Lending. And what we've been talking about is one of the fears that sellers have on selling their home right now is actually where would I go next? And we've done an amazing job on helping 44 families so far this month get under contract to buy new homes. And so we're talking about some of the little things that we can do on the lending side and some of the things that are going on in the lending environment around on how to get offers accepted and make sure that your family gets that home. And so the format of this is your first time here is throw your questions in the Facebook chat there, and we make sure that we get to them. And we encourage you to ask anything that you want, real estate related, or Mike, you hit it right in the head. Early 2000s hip hop, I'm totally good with too. But
late 90s.
Yeah.
I've got a question I'm going to throw up on the screen. It's a little bit different than what we're talking about, but it's a great one. It is a great point. And I'm going to give a shout out to Keith on bringing this question, who, by the way, is both a friend and an amazing title person. And if you're ever around Rochester and you see a license plate that says Mr. Title, that's him. No, but seriously, a great title company, great person. So question, something to mention to people is the complexities of the quiet title process when folks are buying a home on tax sale. Buyers don't know what they're getting into in terms of time involved and cost on the quiet title process, which is something that's been coming up a lot. And I'm going to expand that a little bit, just more of a generalized quiet title, because we're seeing it on some properties now that we're reselling that people had taken over back in, like people had bought from banks back in 8, 9, or 10 under a special deed or an exclusion, right? Where there's still kind of the question mark of a $20,000, equity line of credit from a bank that went out of business, or there's a cloud on title and there could be another little bit of interest in there. And that quiet title process is definitely something I think we're talking about. Austin, do you want to chime in on that, or you want me to kind of?
No, I think keep going. Yeah, I think you go.
Okay.
Keep going.
Yeah, so quiet title. So essentially what we're doing is, the long and the short of it is the basics, whether it's tax or a mortgage company or Uncle Jim that might have a deed out there somewhere, whatever that looks like, is there's somebody that could potentially have an interest on that title. Could be some of it, could be half of it, could be all of it, whatever that looks like, right? And that person is nowhere to be found. Right? A lot of times it's a company that went out of business or somebody that had passed away and the deed was not properly filed. There are a couple different ways that can get affected. So the way through is two basic steps. First, we got to hire an attorney and get that title in front of a judge, right? A lot of attorneys are charging somewhere between $800 and $1,200. A lot of title companies will also handle this kind of a thing as well and use their attorneys on staff, which is good. Second part of that is the judge is going to say, okay, guys, you've got to put out some sort of a public notice 3 times, right? So everybody that could have interest in this property are properly notified in some sort of a publication. Here is the legal news, right? And if you go, there's no borders anymore, but if you go to Barnes & Noble and pick up a legal news, you'll see a first, a second, and a third insertion. That's what those are, right? So then you gotta make sure you put that insertion in there that this property, we're cleaning up. Essentially, what it is we're cleaning up title. If you have interest, call this number. And it's a big long thing that goes in there in the insertions, but that's just the basic stuff.
Yep.
Now, about the 90-day mark, we're going back to court, going back in front of the judge, and saying, "Hey, look, we did the insertions. Nobody came to light." And then the judge says, great, we're going to go ahead and remove that cloud from title and allow the sale to proceed forward.
Yeah. So this is obviously a complex thing, right? It's like, even as, and Mike, you did a wonderful job explaining it. And it's a complex thing.
Yeah, I skimmed the surface. Yeah, there's more to it, but I skimmed the surface. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's what I would say: if you own a home and then you're thinking of selling it, right?
Yeah.
And there was, maybe you inherited it, right? Maybe it was an estate kind of thing. Maybe there's multiple people. Like, again, we see this kind of stuff where like a mother or father passed away, and right, they were the last living, and there's 4 siblings. We see a lot of that, right? Where different people have different interests in the title. If there was a situation where, gosh, what's another common one where like at one point you had a mortgage on it, and that mortgage company went out of business or something. My point is that if you think some of those, just give yourself a little extra time. I would say call us and we'll know how to direct you on it. But give yourself an extra maybe 90, 120 days to get your house on the market.
Yeah.
It's just about being proactive. It's not, look, it's a little complicated, and there's some additional fees and there's some legalese and all that stuff. But really the real killer is time. If you don't do this ahead of time, Keith, you see all the horror stories because you're in the title business. If you don't do it ahead of time, what ends up happening is you've got a buyer that wants to buy the home, and you and your family are need that money to go buy another house, right? And then all of a sudden something hangs it up, and you've got to delay everything by 60 or 90 days. And that might even mean you lose the house that you have under contract to purchase. So because they don't want to wait around for it. So just the more proactive you can be on proactivity seems to be proactivity seems to be the theme of the day. The more proactive that you can be, whether like making sure that you get qualified up front, making sure that you talk to somebody and pull kind of some preliminary title work when you're selling your home, making sure that your lender partner is calling the other agent to help you win multiple offers instead of the other way. Like proactivity is speed in our industry, especially right now with it being so competitive.
Well, and it really is. It truly, and I'm telling, I'll put it out there, guys. We run title immediately the minute a seller hires us.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a lot of sellers that they'll hire us, and then they got to finish painting a room, or they want to pack some stuff up, or whatever that looks like. Right. And that allows us to start preparing the marketing for a full launch 2 weeks later. We're running title immediately. We're getting that title back in 48 hours, in a lot of cases, 72 hours. So the homes that we put on the market, if there is an issue, we know it even before it hits the market, so we can deal with it. Right. Because that's part of it. That's part of it, because I want to make sure that when we're evaluating all the offers, we're not leaving money on the table for the sellers because of an offer we can't take because of the time restrictions of court or whatever that looks like, or clearing something up, or needing divorce decrees that we can't find, needing estate documentation that we can't find, all of those wonderful little things to ensure clean, clear, or warrantable deed. If we're missing something and we've got to go to a courthouse, and court in the times of COVID is not an easy thing. Andrew, you can speak to that. We've got a buyer right now working through that. Yeah, the third one in a month, by the way. Like one of our buyers, and then 2 that were buyers on our properties. And just going to court to get a clean copy of the divorce decree stamped, that delayed the closing 2 to 3 weeks in each case. I'm not kidding. Everything's just taking a little bit longer than it used to, guys. Yeah, a little bit longer than it used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks, Melissa. Okay, so what else is going on in the lending environment right now, Andrew?
Yeah, good question. So rates are a little bit higher right now than they were even 2 or 3 months ago.
Can you give some context around that?
Yes. So about a year ago, when the pandemic hit, we saw something pretty crazy happen with the bond market, and interest rates went down pretty substantially, right? So I just literally looked at a Facebook post from almost a year ago today, and it was like, rates are at an all-time low. If you haven't refinanced in the last year, give me a call. And I took a snapshot, and it was the 0.30-year fixed interest rate was 3.625 or something like that.
Yeah.
All that happened after that was they kept going lower and lower and lower and lower. I think we bottomed out somewhere like almost around 2.5 at 0 points at some point, right around like November, October of 2020.
Yeah.
Which was insane, right? So good news is, the economy is healing, right? Post-COVID, we've got vaccines being rolled out. Businesses are opening up. have their jobs back, which is all very good news. Because of that, interest rates are going up a little bit. Now, they're nowhere near what they were a year ago today, which is around 3.625, but they're up a little bit. They're right around 3.25 from, 2.75, 3 months ago. So with interest rates going up a little bit.
What I want to do is I want to get like Happy New Year streamers. Like interest rates are 3.25.
I know, right?
Right?
Dude, my first interest rate was 9.
That's
9%.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, literally 9%. 9.
Crazy journey. But that's what I'm saying. If you don't take that statement within context,
Yeah,
exactly right. Like
it dipped all the way to maybe 2.5, and now we're back at 3.25. It's
they're still insanely low. Like when I bought my house years ago, I was at just over 5%, which at that time was very good, right? So like put it in the context, right? Rates are nowhere near like going up to like extreme highs. But what I do want to mention is if you have been pre-approved in the last 2 to 3 months, chances are you might have been quoted a payment based on a much lower interest rate than what you're going to be getting at the time when you're ready to lock when that offer is accepted. So having a conversation with your mortgage broker or your lender about what that's going to look like for you is very important, because for some people, an extra $50 to $100, maybe $150 a month is not a big deal, or it's something that they can easily afford. For many folks out there, a swing like that could impact their decision on, number one, are they ready to buy that home? Or number two, are you still going to qualify for that price range? So it's very important. And it's unfortunately, for a lot of people, it's on you to reach out to your lender, if your lender hasn't reached out to you already, about what that's going to look like and how that might impact your future home buying purchase price decision. Because with rates going up just a little bit, that is going to increase your payments slightly from what it was 2 to 3 months ago.
I got a question. Let's say I'm a 5% down or 10% down buyer right now. What kind of PMI am I paying on a 250 loan, which is a pretty average loan in Metro Detroit right now?
So if you've got great credit, meaning over 740 credit, you're putting down, let's just say between 5 and 10% on a conventional mortgage, you'd be no more than about $100 a month in PMI.
All right, so $100 a month. If I have okay credit, does that go up to what, like a 150 or 140 or something like that?
If you've got poor to average credit, somewhere in the middle, expect that to double.
Okay, so between 1 and 200 a month.
Yep.
Check this out, guys. If you have been sitting in a loan for 2 years or more, and when you bought that property, you put down 5 or 10%, call Andrew this afternoon. Because it doesn't matter that interest rates ticked up 1/4 or 0.5%. The value of the homes have gone up over 20% in the last 2 years. So even if you get the same interest rate as you had before, let's say you got a 5 2 years ago and you're getting a 5 today, you're still chopping $100 to $200 off because that PMI is no longer there.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, Mike. Yeah. So values have been going up, right? Like even from when people purchased a year ago, values have been up substantially. A lot of clients that have worked with me a year or two ago who did a purchase, who put down 3%, 5%, 10%, were able to refinance without needing an appraisal, which is like an appraisal waiver, simply because the values of the homes in their city that they purchased in have went up $20, $30, $40, $50,000 since the time that they bought that property. Boom, get rid of the PMI completely. Combine that with getting a lower interest rate than what you initially have. Yeah, you're looking at saving a couple $100 a month.
Couple $100 a month, guys.
Yeah, it's huge.
Hey,
that's a car lease for a lot of people, right?
What's that, Austin?
Throw up Heather's question.
Oh, you know what? Sorry, that was on the different screen.
That's
Going
right.
back. I'm getting there. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. All right. So the first question: can PMI be removed after you have 20% down? Yes. And there's 2 ways to get that done. First one is through a refi. Going to question number 2. First one is through a refi, but the second one is a little different, right? So the lender is required to remove PMI when you're at or below 78.5%. Okay. So you can go get an appraisal done. Like if you're at a interest rate you cannot get right now, and let's say you put 15% down in your home and your home's gone up in value 6, 7, 8%. Yeah, you can actually have an appraiser do an appraisal reflecting that you've got 78%, 78.5% or more No, I'm sorry, 21.5% or more equity. I was going the wrong way with it. Same math.
Yeah.
And then you can request that PMI to be removed. And as long as that's the case, they got to remove it. I've had multiple clients do that. I've had multiple clients where, like, I put it on the calendar, and I've called them up a year later or 18 months later and said, hey guys, I just reran your numbers. The market analysis is showing your appraisal should come out like this. It's worth the $400 or $500 right now to get an appraiser involved. It's probably not worth refining because you're still way down here on interest rates. You're not really going to do a lot better, right? So here's the name and numbers of 3 local appraisers. Let me know when you have it. I've got a stock letter I can get to you. And this was much more popular 2 years ago than today. But I've got a stock letter I can get to you, and then take all that and mail it in. And within 30 days, they've got to reply to that request.
Yeah, we can help you with that. There is one exception to that, right, Andrew? It's FHA.
Yeah, with FHA, it's on permanently, unless you took out that FHA loan, I think, before 2009. But in that case, yeah, definitely, have a conversation with us about refinancing your home at that point, because we would want to get you out of FHA into conventional.
Yeah.
So if you have an FHA loan, the PMI never drops off. So if you want
correct, doesn't matter if you put down.
Doesn't matter what you do.
Okay.
Doesn't matter how much you put down. It doesn't matter who told you what.
Yeah.
If your broker told you it would, like it's good. It's going to stand forever.
So Heather, you wouldn't call directly an appraiser, right? Instead, what you do is you'd call your lender.
Mm-hmm.
You'd call your lender and say, hey, I need to talk to someone about the process of eliminating my PMI. And there's a set process. And my guess is they might even have like an appraisal management system already set up. It would be my guess. And they're probably going to charge you some money, right? They're probably going to charge you $300 or $400, right, Andrew?
Yeah, exactly. That's their call your lender. They'll take care of it. They'll charge you a few $100s for an appraisal. But if you're confident that your equity position is there, it's well worth it.
Yep. Call your lender.
Yep. Drop that 100 to 200. Get rid of it. There are better things you can do with the money instead of giving it to a company that you're insuring against your own foreclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Andrew, I'm glad we're talking about appraisals, and that gives us a really good segue. Before I do that, hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Real Estate Q&A. We do this every Saturday, 10 a.m. And so if this is your first time joining us, welcome, and we thank you, and thanks for popping in. Mike's drinking a muscle milk. He's getting big and strong. Like Hans and Franz, he's going to pump you up. So the format of this is we'll answer anything real estate related. And so you throw your questions in the little Q&A today, this week. So I'm Austin Pothast. I'm the director of sales on the team. Mike Perna is our CEO, and Andrew Venettis is our lender partner, or one of our lender partners. And so he was Silverline Lending, and so he's hanging out with us today, and he's wearing a vest like Marty McFly. And you look great. And so throw your questions in the Q&A, and that we get to those. So, but I'm really glad that we're talking about appraisals, right? Because right now there's some challenges around appraisals. Andrew, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are plenty of appraisals that go through on purchase transactions that come at or above asking, but there are also some that come in under asking price for the property. So what I'm seeing a lot of right now are something called appraisal guarantees, which you guys can touch on if you'd like, that go in with the offer, which basically states that, the borrower is willing to cover up to X amount of dollars from the difference between the appraised value of the home and the original offer price on the property. So what that means for borrowers looking to purchase a home today, and I think like this is one of the biggest strengths that you can have going into a home purchase, is having a little bit of extra money set aside to cover a difference between value and purchase price. Because just because an appraisal comes in low doesn't necessarily mean that your house is automatically worth less money than what you would be paying for it. An appraisal is just an opinion of value. And what we're seeing a lot of right now are comparables that appraisers are able to use are not caught up to what the current market conditions are yet, because a lot of them are going back 6, 8, 12 months for comparable sales. When we just talked about this, like values of homes have shot up so much, there just hasn't been enough inventory on the market these past 3 to 6 months, or sales in those comparable areas, to have a strong appraisal for that particular property. So having some money set aside for an appraisal guarantee is huge. The second thing is, though, is again, before putting an offer in, having a conversation with your mortgage broker so they can run everything through underwriting, because we might be able to also get you an appraisal waiver on that home, which means no appraisal is needed at all to get this mortgage closed, which is huge. We avoid any issues that we have from appraisal guarantees or having homes under appraise, anything like that. But do you guys want to touch on like what the appraisal guarantee process is for borrowers?
Yeah. So here's the scoop, right? When you buy a home and you get a mortgage, the bank appraises the home. Makes sense, right? They want to make sure that the home is worth what you're buying for it, right? And so in what Andrew touched on is when we're in an environment where home prices are going up, sometimes appraisals can't keep up with what the market is doing, and so they come in a little bit low. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what's exasperating this entire thing is oftentimes, especially for a really, really, really great property, oftentimes we're running into multiple offers. And so sometimes, and oftentimes I would say the price is getting bid up above. So instead of, if it's a $300,000 asking price, it's not uncommon for the home to actually go for $315,000, right? Or in some cases $320,000, right? Not always, but it happens that way. And so what an appraisal guarantee, when we're negotiating on the behalf of a client, what an appraisal guarantee would do is we would say, hey, look, we're going to match that 315, or we're going to come in at that 315 under this example. But if the home were to appraise lower, we're going to guarantee the difference of that appraisal, and which would mean that our client would have to bring that cash to closing. Now, clients are willing to do it because A, it's a great home and it's perfect for their family, and they're planning on being there for 10 years. And B, they're seeing that home prices are going up. And so you're right, the appraisal is just one person's opinion. And so they're going, look, I know it might underappraise, but the truth of the matter is that we think it's worth more. And by the way, in a free market society, an asset is worth what someone's willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Well enough.
And so we'll do an appraisal guarantee. Now, sometimes it'll be a full appraisal guarantee. So under that scenario, even if the home appraised for $380,000, the client would bring that money. Sometimes we'll do an appraisal guarantee up to $5,000 or $10,000. Hey, look, we're gonna cover a little bit of the buffer, but we still want to protect ourselves on the downside. And that's an elongated conversation and consultation that we have with our clients and our families to make sure that we're not exposing them to a risk that they don't want to take on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, Andrew, one of the things that you touched on, and again, proactivity continues to be the theme of the day. Oftentimes, and you and I have done this, where if I bring you an address and you run it through your system, oftentimes you can come up with, hey, actually, we don't even need to do an appraisal here. And then Andrew will proactively reach out to the person that's listed the home and say, hey, here's the scoop. I don't even need to do an appraisal. You should accept this client's offer. It's very strong. And we're winning offers. And oftentimes we're paying less than what the other offers are. And I mean like substantial amounts of money less, $5,000, $10,000 less. I had a negotiation a couple of months ago in Ann Arbor where I saved a client somewhere they were willing to pay up to $480,000 for the house, and I got it for them for $442,000. My point is that when you do all these little things, it adds up to savings for our family, the families that we're helping, and making sure that we get them the home, right? And so an appraisal guarantee is one of those cool things. Mike, what did I leave out there?
I'm just going to add to it. In this market, I mean, if you're looking to purchase a property, you're looking to move your family and get them into wherever you want them to be for whatever reason, school district, closer places of worship, whatever that looks like. If you're serious about buying a home, and you should be, because that's a serious thing, you need skilled technicians in this market. Simple enough, all the way around the circle.
Yeah.
Skilled technicians on the real estate end of it to help you with the negotiation. And exactly as Austin said, it's not about paying the most money. But most of the time, it's actually not about paying the most money. Go figure. You need skilled technicians on the mortgage side of it that can get you every advantage possible, including appraisal waivers on the mortgage. We have lenders where I'm getting that call from a lender and they're saying, hey, this guy is pre-approved, just want to let you know. I said, great. Does he have an approval guarantee or an appraisal guarantee? Does he not need an appraisal per the loan? And they'll be like, what are you talking about? I'm not kidding. Like lenders themselves, a lot of them are unaware that they can get these waivers done. Yeah. Right. And that's a problem. To me, that's a problem, right? That's not a skilled technician. That's just somebody who's doing a loan here and there, and they're making some extra money, maybe even as a side hustle, which is not the way that we want to go right now at all, right? These are our homes, guys. These are our homes. We want to make sure we've got a great title company lined up. Again, running the pre-title and making sure we don't miss anything and being proactive on it. You know what I mean? We want to make sure that everybody involved in the loop also speaks in very even tones. Because guys, it's real estate and it's people. There is going to be an issue. It will happen. It will have nothing to do with us, but it will happen. And a lot of times, just how we react to it helps our clients and helps the other clients, right, in the ball game.
Yeah.
I've got one right now where the wheels almost came off the bus, and I got on the phone with that listing agent myself. Andrew, you're on the other end of this deal. And we just had a very nice, even keel conversation. Before that, the listing agent wanted to just completely, I mean, we're talking about like a 2-day closing delay. That's it, right? That's it. But the other agent was, I mean, had the mutual lease ready, wanted to dump out, wanted to throw the property back on the market, which would take another 30 to 40 days to get to a closing anyway, because they were just so fearful, right? Because they didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, it's funny that you did have a conversation, because she called me last night and she was so calm.
Yeah.
So
No, and it was good.
I mean, she was like, it's like, yeah, like I always say, like if there's any realtors listening to this, which I'm sure there are, your tone is the client's tone, and like every conversation, like if you're freaking out, the client is freaking out. Right? Like, but if you're calm and you're cool and you're collected and you're solution focused, as opposed to just focusing on the issue if there is a problem. But let's face it, right? Like, well, getting a mortgage is not the easiest thing in the world.
No.
And a home purchase is not the easiest thing in the world. And for some people, it could even be like, you could have like, it could be Austin who's making $500,000 a year with 800 credit with 20% down, and everything's cool and everything's fine. And then there's an issue with title right before closing. Like, things can pop up, right? There's a lot of people involved. Throw COVID on top of that. We're in a COVID environment where people are working from home. Many employees are working from home. Lenders are working from home. Appraisers are out there doing their thing, right? Like, there's so many people involved. Like, things can come up, right? So it's important, like, how you hear a message is one thing, but then how you deliver that message to your borrower, that seller's agent, is another thing. And it's the delivery that matters, in my opinion. And it's not just the message itself. It's how do you package that message when you're communicating it to other people.
Yeah.
Just because you hear there could be something that could delay something doesn't mean it's the biggest issue in the world. It's not. It could be a very small thing that's easily fixed.
Well, and with this specific example that Andrew and I were working on yesterday, here's a client that wants a home, and here's a client that, and on the other side, here's a client that wants to sell a home.
Yeah.
It's not in the other agent's client's best interest to go off to get out of the purchase agreement, go back on the market, get another offer, restart the process, make another payment and a half. It's going to cost that seller a clean $1,800 no matter what happens, going that route, or wait 2 days.
Right.
But it was the lack of knowledge around the issue, right? Because again, this goes back to the average real estate agent in Michigan sells 4.8 homes a year. They don't have enough reps to get all the experience in. And that's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. It just is what it is.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, what'd you get on that off?
No, I think you're right. You're look, the reason that you hire us, and I say us, I mean, right? Us people, you're hiring us for the ability to negotiate and the experience. It's funny, Mike. I say this to people and they think I'm crazy, but anytime a transaction goes too smoothly, I get weirded out.
Yeah.
There's just always something that pops up because you're dealing with families and you're dealing with a lot of moving pieces, and it's the ability to move that transaction along and the experience of thousands of other reps behind you to know how to get it through and working the problem that really adds up and makes a difference. So
yeah. And that's why I love working with your team, Mike, and I've even heard my own friends and family too, realtors. I myself have family members who are real estate agents. It's not because, like, listen, I know you guys are prepared for having that conversation or that negotiation that's going to happen in this. Like, I feel comfortable sending my best friends to like Matthew Van Popperin because I know he has a team behind him that's going to get the job done. When other agents, like you said, might have only sold a handful of properties a year and they have some experience, which is great, but you don't need just some experience in this environment. You need a lot of it. And I can't even probably count between you and Austin and Sadie and your whole team. You have thousands of years of experience combined behind one deal, which is so valuable in this market. It goes so long. Because these conversations, these negotiations are not entry-level negotiations. These are expert-level negotiations that have to take place. And the difference between having an expert realtor or an average or novice realtor could be a difference of thousands and thousands of dollars that you're going to overpay for a house or not.
No, I appreciate you saying that, and I appreciate you referring business. And likewise, you and your team do a fantastic job.
And I didn't call you old. It's experience.
Good morning, everybody. And by the way, so welcome. This is the real estate Q&A. We do this every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And so the format of this is we talk anything real estate related. Make sure you throw your questions there in Facebook, and we'll make sure that we get to those and throw those in the chat box there. We'll make sure that we get to those. Today we've got Mike Perna is the CEO of the Perna team. Austin Pothast, the director of sales, and Andrew Venettis is our lender partner with Silverline, and we appreciate you taking the time and being here with us and answering questions with things. And so we welcome you. And so really we're talking about winning offers and kind of the little things in between that get a deal done. And we've talked about appraisals and mortgages and PMI and all that stuff. So if you've got questions around, we've even talked about title. If you've got questions around those kind of things and you just joined us, I would encourage you to go back and watch the video. Andrew, what's the prognication, or I don't, what am I saying that word right? What's the word?
I don't know if that's a word.
Prognication.
Just making a word.
I like it though. Go ahead.
What am I trying to say? I don't know. Anyway, what's the prognosis? Where do you think the rate environment is going?
The word.
Yeah, where do you think the rate environment is going? What are you guys seeing? What are you guys seeing out of things? What's the overall feeling around the mortgage environment right now?
Well, the overall feeling is that rates are going up. That's for sure. But I don't think they're going to go up significantly enough that most people are going to notice until 2022. I think we have at least through the end of this year where they're going to stay sub 3.5%, which is extremely low. Like, don't get it twisted. That's so low, right? So when I say they're going to go up, I mean, this time next year we could be talking about something in the high threes, low fours. But again, that's still extremely affordable for 90% of home buyers out there. So yes, rates are going up. That's the general feeling.
April is not a thing. Not a thing.
Special shout out to Aunt April. That's my wife's aunt out in New Mexico. Hey, Auntie April. And also making up the words. I like it. What's the difference? What's the difference in purchasing power? Andrew, I'm glad that you're bringing this up, right? Because again, we say this all the time. What we find is that sellers typically care about terms like how much they're going to get, right, when they sell their house, or terms like what the time frame that they can move out in those of their home, and the appraisal guarantees and all these other things that we negotiate. And buyers typically care about payments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like every single month you make a mortgage payment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so buyers care about their monthly payments, right? So what's the purchasing power difference? You said, so you're thinking 2022 it stays sub 3.5, but let's pretend it goes north of that. Let's pretend it goes to 4.5. What are we talking about? What's the purchasing price difference, or what kind of payment difference are you staring down?
Yeah, so on a $250,000 loan amount, the difference of a full percentage is about $150 difference in payment. And just so you know, like every 10 grand that loan amount or purchase price adjusts is roughly about $50 a month. So we're talking about a $30,000 difference in purchasing power for most borrowers.
So what you're saying is
so what I'm saying is, like, today, what you're qualifying for could be $30,000 less a year from now if you wait. Yeah. Because rates go up a full percent. That's what we're looking at, right?
So you've got two options. Three options really. You can buy less house, right? So take a look at the market today and look at a house at 350, and then take a look at a house at a 320. You can put down more money, which means you're tying up additional assets, to counterbalance that, or you can make another $150 a month on your payment. And if you're staying in the house for 10 years, that's $18,000 in payments.
Yeah.
If you wait.
Okay, so what would you say to someone like, because we're running into it less, I would say, but I think there's still, whenever you see home prices increasing, there's always a contingent of people that say, this seems crazy. I'm not paying that much for a house. I'm gonna wait for home prices to go down. What would you say to someone saying that?
It's funny. I've had people say this for the last 3 or 4 years, and those people that said it 2 or 3 years ago are like, I should have bought 2 or 3 years ago when I said I wanted to wait.
Mm-hmm.
No better time than now to take advantage of historically low interest rates. There's no better time than now to take advantage of the super hot housing market. It's an excellent time to buy. I would just have that same, like if I were having a conversation with somebody that asked me that question, I would say the same thing Perna did, which would be, hey, listen, we can wait, but here's what it's gonna look like if we wait. You're gonna overpay because interest rates are higher, or you're gonna have less of a house that you can purchase, or you're gonna tap into more assets to put down on a property than you would today. It's that simple.
That's it.
Is how you don't pass. Just keep. If you want to buy, and you should be serious, like Mike said. If you want to buy, you have to be serious about buying. Buy a house. Like, don't wait just because you think things are going to change. People said that a year ago. They're like I remember when COVID hit, people were like, yeah, that's going to be a vacation for people in the real estate business. Nope, exact opposite. It was every single day, nonstop. I was putting in 15, 16, 17-hour days for 4 months straight over the summer because the housing market was so red hot. And no one thought that was going to be the case. But why was that the case? Because people were working from home. They needed that space, right? They needed that work from home environment.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing over there.
I thought that was going to be the case. Like it's just like nobody does it. I called it.
Oh, Mike called it then. Okay.
No, we were Johnny on the spot with it. Like we were doing.
Well, you know what I mean. So, like when people
Yeah.
do that Google search and they're like, "What's going to happen to the housing?" I realized MSNBC was it's going to cool, but that wasn't the case.
Here's what's really interesting. Ready? So let's pretend that interest rates go up 1%. That same $250,000 home, you're paying a payment as though or you're able to purchase basically a 220, or you're paying a payment as though it's a 280 home, right? If rates went up 1%, and by the way, 4.5% is still pretty darn good, right?
Yeah.
But watch this. Let's pretend you try to time the market and you wait 2 years. And let's pretend that same $250,000 home now costs $280 and the interest rate's higher. You're paying the same amount as if you bought a home today for $310 or $320.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
you're going to be saying, I wish I would have bought a year ago.
And by the way, that's every month for 30 years. Right?
Exactly.
Every month for 30 years. Yeah.
Interest rates here have to go up, right? Because the economy has to recover, and it's going to, and it is. But I also think about like all these borrowers that wanted to buy these past 12 months that were furloughed from work, and they couldn't because they couldn't qualify because they weren't getting a steady paycheck. Once they go back to work and have that steady source of income again, they're jumping back into the market with everybody else. I think that as more people list properties, there's going to be more people that come out to the park and they want to go look at that property and they want to go place offers. That's all going to be fine. But on the interest rate side, when those go up, you're still going to be paying what you're going to be paying for your property. It's just a matter of can you afford it now or not based on your qualifications. And when rates go up a full percent, heck, even 0.5%, for some people that answer could be no, we got to scale it back another 10, 20, 30, 40 grand,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could buy the house right now with the lower rate, save $150 a month, and buy something cool like a dune buggy.
Yeah, go get a jet ski. Or buy 2 jet skis, right?
Yeah,
4-wheeler.
Well, and the added bonus is if you're renting, right?
Oh yeah,
you now have the mortgage interest deduction, so you're getting $2,000, $2,500 back on your taxes every year. So that $1,800 just became $4,300, let's call it, and then you're paying down the loan. $250 to $350 a month, so that's another $3,600. So it's not. I mean, okay, we're going to save $150 a month, but it's really $450, but it's really $650. So it's $7,200 a year. Average person's in their home for 10 years. That's $72,000 difference between renting for 10 years and purchasing. Without
That's crazy.
If the home values do not even go up, 72,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
Those numbers get real big because money is a function of time. And a lot of us don't even realize like 10 years will go by like a blink of an eye, right? I mean, we will literally buy a home and say, okay, this is going to be our 4-year home. And then 8 years down the road, we're going to move. That's how it works.
7,200 a year. God, that's so many Amazon packages. My wife would love that.
Did you hear you?
I'm like a dangerous ground here. By the way, we had a baby 2 weeks ago, and I'm making Amazon box jokes. I'm going to get killed over here. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Last call for questions, everybody. Last call for questions, and if not, we'll get on out of here. Really good job today. Anything else you want to add on what's going on in the mortgage world, Andrew?
Last thing I want to add is so many, just again, having a conversation early in the process. So many people don't realize that they can leverage different assets for down payment, i.e. your 401k, an IRA. If you own a property, you can take some equity out of that home and use that to put down money on another property. Cash is king in this market. Have a conversation with us. We'll look at your options. I know my number was thrown in the group chat a couple times, but we'll look at options for you and see what we can afford or what you can afford to put down on a home. A great thing is like if you can afford to do 5 or 10% down, but you need to scale it back to make up a difference between a price and an appraised value, we can always do that. Make that like any mortgage that you start with, we can make adjustments up to about a week before closing and process.
Right.
It's a very limber experience for a lot of people because we can move things around as we need to. Because we start with something doesn't mean we have to finish with it. So having that conversation with us as early as possible is important.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think my number one tip, and this is not for any specific age range of buyer or seller, but it's to everybody. Whatever move you're considering, if you have experience with real estate and purchasing a home in the past, literally add 90 days to it. Start the process 90 days sooner than the last time you bought or sold a home. Get a real estate professional involved in looking at the property. Get a real estate professional involved in getting out there and seeing some properties. Get the mortgage person involved sooner. That is the number one thing that I'm saying is and my parents are in this boat, right? Where they're considering that downside. And in your mind, buying and selling real estate is still a 45 to 60-day process. But what we're seeing is a 6-month process. Just because of inventory, if no other reason. Yeah, so that's my number one tip.
Get a realtor, get a mortgage person.
Yeah, here's what I would say. Any tips for older? But I'm going to make some sweeping generalizations. Most of the time, when I see an older, I'll say older seller, oftentimes it's they're selling their family home, right? And that means just like you ever notice the longer you live in one place, guys, the more like boxes you accumulate in your basement or like stuff you accumulate. And so there's more involved with your move in timing. Timing actually for a lot of our older clients becomes more important than the money. Does that make sense? And that's a sweeping generalization. That's not for everybody. Sometimes the money is really important too, right? Or sometimes you have to get a certain dollar amount to make the deal work, right? But for the most part, timing means a ton. And so, Mike, you're saying get involved an extra 90 days ahead of time. I agree. Like have, and by the way, April, I know you're out in New Mexico, but I actually have some really great contacts in New Mexico that I would connect you with out there. And so we should talk about that if that's what you're considering doing. But I would say get in touch with your agent a little sooner and interview that agent a little sooner, because look, even basic stuff, maybe we give you some advice on how to declutter the house, or maybe make a recommendation to paint a certain room to have a little bit more modern of a touch, right? Maybe we talk some strategy about, okay, what's that timing of that next move and how long do you need? So for instance, I negotiated a pretty large estate home, like a $800,000 plus lake home out here in our area where they needed to they were building a new home and they needed like 5 months of occupancy. And so just having that conversation up front and planning up front, we were able to provide that and find a cash buyer that we were able to do that. And so just planning things out a little bit ahead of time. I would also say that, and again, this is a sweeping generalization. I call this the buying the couch, Mike. Like if I were going to go buy a couch, I'd just go buy a couch. If my mom and dad went and bought a couch, it would take them 2 years. And what I mean by that is oftentimes I find with the people that are a little older know what they want a little more, a little pickier about things. And so just giving yourself some timing around making that move as smooth as possible. And so again, the theme of the day continues to be proactivity. And I would say be extra proactive so that we can make sure it's as smooth as possible. Right? Am I saying that right?
You're saying it absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I find. And that's a pretty sweeping generalization. So, but in general, that's what I find. Yeah. Anyhow, great question.
That's a great question.
Yeah. By the way, largest hot air balloon festival in the world, right? In New Mexico. Do you guys know about that?
No.
Rachel on our team has a goal this year of helping enough families so that she can go to that this year. She's never been to it. She loves hot air balloons and also The Rock. Rachel loves hot air balloons and The Rock. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And so,
The Rock.
But I'm pretty sure the largest hot air balloon festival in the world is in New Mexico.
That's cool.
There it is. Okay. She says yes. Yes with lots of explanation points. You see that? Who doesn't love The Rock? Okay. Anything else, guys? Okay. Fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, gentlemen.
No, this is
Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is awesome. Okay, guys. So every single Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
Oh yeah.
There it is.
And so here's the deal, guys. Every single Saturday, 10 a.m. Tell your friends and family. We answer any kind of question, real estate related questions. We sit here and do it until all the questions have been answered. It looks like they've been all answered today. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the opportunity to help families. It's something that we talk about almost daily, Mike, that we feel like we're the luckiest people on earth. And I'll tell you why. And I know, Andrew, you feel the same way because I know what's in your heart. We feel like we're the luckiest people on earth because we get to figure out what's important to people and families, and we get to help them accomplish what's important to them. And we're not selling widgets. We're involved in oftentimes someone's largest financial transaction in the home that they're going to live in, and the memories that they're going to build, and the barbecues, and the Christmas memories, and the bar mitzvahs, and all the things, right? And we don't take that lightly. And so we appreciate our clients, and we appreciate the more than anything in the world, the ability to help you guys. We really take that seriously, and we think we're the luckiest people on earth. And I know, Mike, you feel the same way as well. And so we'll see you next Saturday. Great job today, Mike. Great job today, Andrew. And Austin, you did okay. And
all right.
Anything else to add?
That's all I got, guys.
No.
Okay. Let's do it.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
I'm out of here. Make it a great day.